Eunice. How are you?
Oh, very good. Thank you for giving me a call, Eunice, today. How's things you're in New York, right?
I am. And this is like one of the very few days where there's no snow, clear skies, the sun is out, it's bright and shiny.
Oh, wonderful. I hope we get that tomorrow because we don't have that here today.
You're kidding.
No, a little overcast, and I think they were talking about a little more snow. We all need some snow. Yeah. But tomorrow, I think we move on to the 30-degree range. So finally, this has been a rough winter for everybody back here in the Midwest and East.
Oh, my God.
And it's something just opposite from where your parents immigrated from, Nigeria.
Oh, yeah. Oh, are you kidding me? Like, close to the equator, sunny every day. Can you just imagine?
Oh, yeah.
But,
and that brings me to the question, because I know you were born in the U.S., Washington, D.C., right?
Yep.
But you were in the Apprentice Africa, which is a Donald Trump type of, same type of television show. How did you end up being selected for that?
Yeah, and it's exactly the same production company, Mark Brunette.
Oh, it is?
Wow. Yeah, it is.
Wow.
They are affiliated with the show. In fact, it was the production company in Nigeria that purchased the format. So it was very similar to the other formats across the world. Like you have Apprentice UK, you have Apprentice Asia, you have Apprentice Europe. So it's just literally all over the world. I think there are like 72 different formats across the world. Yeah, it's crazy. But the Africa version was so random too because I was in the middle of my MBA program at the Johnson School at Cornell University.
Oh, very
and
good.
A friend of mine was like, I came across this Facebook invitation to attend like a casting.
Yes.
You should definitely apply and see what happens. And I was like, okay, fine. Let me just put in my name in the hat, you know what I mean? And let's just see what happens. And next thing I know, they're like, we love your application. Can you come to a 2-day interview in Washington, D.C.?
Wow.
So I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, my family lives in a D.C. area, so I figured, it's a great excuse to come home.
Sure.
So I went there, and I was pleasantly surprised to see Omarosa as one of the judges, so that was kind of fun. And, so it was, I wouldn't say it was grueling, but it was definitely an eye-opener because they had so many amazing candidates all across the U.S. come to compete during that 2-day interview. Like, it was very similar to, the same format here in the U.S. They put us in different tasks and different groups, and they video recorded how we, worked with one another and practice cases.
Oh,
we
that's
did one-on-one interviews.
Very grueling then. It's just, you really
it wasn't just, let me just show up and do an interview with one-on-one with the judges. No, like they recorded like how we interacted with each other, that kind of thing. What would you do if you were in this situation? And we played out every scenario. So it was unbelievable. It was so much fun, though. I loved it.
Very challenging. You're a businesswoman. You have a lot of ththings going on, right? You're real estate, finance, and so many things. So it was just a natural thing for you to acclimate to then, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought so. And it just kind of put everything that I learned in school and, in real life to practice. It just really tested it out. Like, it's so easy to write about what you would do in a certain situation. It's so easy to say, this is what I would do and this is how I would say it. But when you're actually in that situation, when you're confronted with all these different challenges, it's just it's eye-opening, and it's just an amazing experience. I'm just really glad that ultimately I ended up being second place or first runner-up in the show.
Oh, wow, you really aced the whole thing. And it's so much, was it because you're a very confident woman? Is that how you were able to get through the whole process? Where, I mean, a lot of people are just going to be intimidated. No, me, go there. No, I would never be able to do that. But you pushed through everything. Was it challenging for you to push through anxiety to be able to do that?
It was, honestly, I didn't really sleep much.
Okay.
Throughout the whole, because I was scared. You know what I mean? Like I sacrificed so much. I took a leave of absence from school. Like I was in my MBA program. I took took a leave of absence from my MBA program. I left the country. I've always visited Lagos, Nigeria for a couple days or weekend visiting family and friends, but I've never worked there and lived there, and I was just exposed to so much, like the environment, the different types of people. I mean, people came from all over the world who had like African descent, so it wasn't just me and a couple other people from the U.S. It was like people from London, people from Kenya, people from Ghana. It was literally all over. So you're dealing with cultural issues, you're dealing with different personalities, and then on top of that, we still have to make things happen, in terms of business and the task. So it was really scary because I put so much on the line, and you're just literally putting yourself out there for people to to watch and to criticize, and I didn't see all the feedback until after the show was over. But even during the show, I could just feel the tension from everyone. Everyone just came in with so much at stake. And I don't think people realize what it really means to be in the boardroom. You're literally fighting for your life. So it's just you have to articulate why you should be there.
Wow.
And why you what I mean? It was just it's a whole unreal experience.
I couldn't even imagine, but I know it must have taken. It's because the courage that it took from you to be able to postpone everything that you already had lined up in your life going, to be able to take on this challenge, a personal challenge, just to overcome the anxiety of it all. I mean, that's simply amazing. But that has probably been one of the key ingredients now in your ability to move on, because you're involved in so many other things. You're doing the Apprentice Africa, right, with the magazine, and are you a contributor to that in fashion still?
So I have so much going on. Bill, is not even funny, but so I was the fashion editor for Apprentice Africa magazine, which is both an online and hard copy magazine. It's sold in Barnes and Noble, so you can get the actual magazine on the racks, or you can look at it online. And I was fashion editor for about a year and a half, and I was juggling a lot for that year and a half. I was doing school, I was at work, I was going to heading up a lot of philanthropy events. But while I was at Apprentice Africa, I just loved interviewing amazing entrepreneurs and designers who were just off the charts, amazing work. And I wanted to feature that, and I did feature that on the magazine, both online and in print. So I just had a fantastic time while I was editor.
Wow, that must have been, and that takes a lot of time itself. That's like a full-time job, and if you're still in school.
Well, you know how it's like, interviewing people, and sometimes you have to travel and see them and book all these spots. So
yes, for those special moments, those special minutes you put together. It's like all the work that goes involved in you, right? Exactly, meeting the people and then putting it down into word and being able to communicate that to others, your experience, and then. You do Dress for Success. Is that right? That's something that's for the underprivileged. Could you tell me a little bit about that? Are you involved with that?
I love Dress for Success. I'm still a volunteer. I've been volunteering for over a year now, and I do image presentations primarily for women who are entering the workforce or re-entering the workforce who happen to come from underprivileged backgrounds. So, for example, young women who are in high school or are working full time and are trying to find jobs, or in that interview stage, we help them prep. This is what you do, this is what you don't do, this is how you dress to present your best self in front of a potential employer. So we go through this entire seminar, just basically walk them from beginning to end on how to be a successful candidate.
So nice.
And I just love that. And it's just a natural progression from what I've been doing with Applause in terms of interviewing designers and fashion, and being able to take what I've learned and help women who just kind of are a little shaky in that area, and help them give them confidence to successfully do well on job interviews and get the the job. So.
Oh yeah, and well, with your training and your education, your life experience, you are the authority when it comes to that. So I mean, they can look at you and say, "Well, let me Google her." Oh wow, she's willing to teach me. Okay, so that's wonderful.
I love it. They're awesome, and they just humble me so much.
Oh,
because
nice.
It gives me a different perspective. I mean, I feel like I'm like about to be 35 this year, and I like to feel like I'm young at heart. But when I talk to these girls, and and I see some of the challenges that they're facing, because the job market is so different from their perspective, it's a lot more harder to get into, especially if you're coming on a certain level. It's like, how do I compete now? I mean, you're competing with older women and older men who have so much going on for themselves, and yet they're in the same pool. So how do you distinguish yourself?
Yes.
So they totally humble me in so many respects.
Wow. And so, okay, I'm sure you get complete satisfaction from that. And any special cases, any special people that stick out that you've worked with that just have broken that barrier to get through and achieve to a higher level? Anything comes to your mind?
I don't have a case study yet per se, because I feel like all of them are just still, you do the best. You give them all the tools you can to allow them to, do their best. I mean, how does the saying go? You give a man a fish.
Oh, if you teach.
And then you teach him how to fish, and he's good for a lifetime. That kind of thing. Like,
exactly.
I haven't really, I haven't had specifically one individual that I've worked with, because there's so many of them. Like, these sessions can go once or twice a month. Some are like twice a week. It depends on the school. It depends on the time. Like, this is International Women's Month. The month of March. So there's so many more seminars that's happening in New York City alone, from private schools to public schools to different organizations. So it's really crazy kind of keeping up with everyone. But I'm just satisfied knowing that the feedback that I've gotten so far has just been really positive and overwhelmingly awesome.
And that's a great purpose to be on Earth, to be able to help other people. And you also are involved in bringing awareness of cancer for women in Africa, too.
Yes, so I am on the board of directors for Africa for the Cure, and basically it's a nonprofit organization based in Lagos. And basically what we do is we help women get tested for mammograms and breast cancer, to ensure that they, practice preventative measures before getting it, because there is such a high prevalence of breast cancer in Africa, just because it goes undetected, you know what I mean? So
yes.
Yeah. So I'm on the board, and it's just it's just it's really touching, because I just feel like a lot of this stuff could be, prevented.
Yes, but it takes education. But it takes education. You have to. Somebody's got to be out there, bringing the awareness, and you're one of those great people doing that.
But just to wrap up, Run for the Cure Africa. Basically, every year in Lagos we have like this run. So we have so many different sponsors, and men and women sign up to raise money for the organization, so we can provide the mammogram machines and provide awareness so women could get could practice more of these techniques, so they could get tested early on. So that's Run for a Cure Africa.
Is there a website that people can learn more about that?
Oh, yeah, they can just go to the website, Run for a Cure Africa. We have a Facebook page. We're on Twitter. And they can definitely, if they want to make donations, they can certainly do so. But hopefully hopefully we can work on a U.S. contingent, so we can raise more awareness in the U.S. So right now it's solely based in Africa. Our headquarters is in Lagos, Nigeria. But our outreach is African.
Okay. And what's the Facebook again? Name?
Run for a Cure Africa.
Run for a Cure Africa. And do you have a Twitter?
You can follow me on Twitter. It's just my handle, my Eunice Omole.
I think a lot of people want to do good and help, and like you do, and obviously, don't have a lot of time, but they still want to get involved in something. And I think you would be a good point person